Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 89 of I Just Got My Kid to Sleep. I'm Michael Palsack, and I just got my kid to sleep last night and then took him to school this morning. This is another I Just Got My Kid to School. How many episodes are we going to begin like this before it's just the podcast? I would just recommend as a parent um, that that you just put everything else last that you would like to do until you absolutely have to do it. That's just that comes in the training. Whatever it is that you would normally do without kids, just wait until it's too late to do it. Not on purpose, but just like, you know, last night, um oh, I forgot this episode is sponsored by NoHo Modern Dentistry because I accidentally took their pen. And it wasn't even from there. I was at my gym last night. There's that's where it's like a kids um national chain of gymnastics. It's not really gymnastics. It's more like I think just classes and exercise, some gymnastic stuff. But I wanted to have a pen so I could write some stuff, get work done while I'm at Jack's practice. And 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 this is the pen they had. So that just goes to show you, you get some pens out there, you end up on a podcast. So NoHo Modern. My favorite dentist is actually in the Chicago area. His name is Dr. Kozak. We've talked about him before. But if you're in NoHo and you want modern, not postmodern dentistry, modern dentistry. I shouldn't make fun of their brand, but postmodern would probably make your teeth look like the characters from Guernica. Characters? Is that what Picasso called his people he was drawing? These are my characters. Wow, we got a Picasso reference. Let's fix it in the camera. Okay. I think it's slowly gonna shift. So this is I just got my kid to school. I just got my kid to sleep edition, episode 89. Oh, I shouldn't have got a clicky pen. I've always been someone who makes noise, I don't. Is this ASMR? Um, I don't, I think it'd be the opposite of that, right? Because no one likes a pen clicker. I'm a pen clicker. I'm a leg, bouncer. And no one's ever like, keep going with that, like when you're doing that in a coffee shop or a library, and no one's like, hey, I like what you're doing there. Keep it up. Like when I do this, no one's like to communicate back and forth. That reminds me of an episode of Office that was on recently where Pam and Jim learn what do they learn the SOS signal. What's it called? Um anyway, and just to mess with Dwight. But no one ever does. Like I remember as a kid, my older brother at the dinner table one time was like bouncing his leg, as a nervous. I don't know if it's a nervous habit, and my dad was like, just, just. And as a parent now, I feel like the bar is way low. Like if my kid's bouncing his leg, I'm like, maybe he's my older brother. He was older. I mean, I've said he was older, but not like old. But he was like a teenager, and maybe by that point, you're just like your level of dealing with stuff is not. I don't know. Maybe my parents should just set better boundaries. But if my son was bouncing his leg, I'm like, good. That leg's gonna be tired for when he goes to sleep tonight. Like that's how much we want to exercise. We want our kids just worn down. Yesterday at his little gym class, they learned burpees, and a burpee. If you don't know what that is, it's it combines a couple of different activities. So like to do cardio, it's called was it high impact interval training or maybe I don't think it's low impact, but it's like you're standing up, right? Do it with me now. No, not unless you're driving. And you drop down on your stomach, and then you can do a push up. I don't know. That's like a mega burpee. I don't know what that is called, but you don't have to do a push up. But you just kind of do a plank, and then you kick your feet back in, and then you jump as high as you can, and then you go back down and you kick your feet out, do a plank, and then come back up, and every time you like jump up, that's a one, and they're like, all right, we're gonna do 10, and Jack at his class, everything they do is is so easy to him. That's what he says. That's his motto. It's like that's easy. That's easy. He says a lot of things like that where it's like, and it's loud, you know. He's like, I could, that's easy. And whenever he's doing a class or a sport and he's like kind of unchained, I just feel like, well, that's the coach's problem. Like I kind of wish, I don't know, like it's not bad, you know, to say that's easy and sort of scream it loudly. That's easy. He did that with burpees where he's like, I'll do 20. And I was like, I don't know if he's going to do them, but he did. He did 20. And I always feel a little bad though too when we go to a class and he's just had candy cuz I feel like that affects his energy levels in a way that's not fair to the teachers. Like why do they get the sugar rush and but they do. Anyway, they have really good pens. I got to return this. What's your opinion on returning pens? I was raised Catholic, so I tried not to steal anything, have anything on my soul. No, well, like I think, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I want to give it back, right? I want to give, I want to give this pen back. First of all, while it is a great pen, the click is solid, right? It's a solid click. Losing viewers with every click. No, it's like it's in and then it's clicked. It's clicked. It's clicked out. It's clicked out. It's clicked out. Like there's no not knowing, you know. And it's very aerodynamic for throwing if you have to defend yourself while doing work. Um, I really like writing. I think I'm getting. I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely getting. Everyone's older. You know, that's the whole thing. But I think I'm getting old because I don't think typing is as fun when it comes to doing stuff that I do. I just always like I got a notebook and I got another notebook and then there's another notebook somewhere else. And it's just great for me to it's very satisfying. Whereas like typing is kind of like work. Typing feels like I'm at a job. Which I guess that's the point of getting paid for something is if you're at a job. Anyway, what are we gonna do? I gotta write a movie, I think. I realized that recently because Jack's in school now during the week, and I feel like if he's gonna go to school, like if that's what he's gonna do, if he's gonna choose to live that life where he's like, I'm gonna leave you, Dad, for 6 hours, maybe yesterday was 8 hours. Like he said, he has Spanish. Am I just giving my kid's schedule out? Yesterday, as in 3 months ago, on a Thursday. No, he has Spanish after school, and then and it goes to like so he's in school for like 8 hours, and I'm just like, I didn't sign him up. It was his mom, and I just feel like it's a long tiempo. Was muy tiempo. I don't know. Tiempo is time in Spanish. To be away from his dad. No, just to be at school. I think my itch. I got eye itch. Okay. This podcast is sponsored by allergies. Allergies. They are make you feel sick even though you're not. Allergies. That's what I like about allergies. It's like, you get to experience the drought, like all the symptoms, but you can't spread it. No, I'm not talking to the mic. You can't spread it. And it's not real. Like it's real. The symptoms are real, but there's no battle going on inside you. It's not you versus a virus or a bacteria or another. I think that's the only thing that can hurt you, right? A virus or a bacteria or I don't know, disease. An immuno allergy is just you coming to terms with you. Like, hey, there's a thing around you that's really fine, but I keep scratching my nose. It's a scratch. That's really fine. Let's see if you're okay with it. And my body's just like, no, no, not okay with it. No, get out of here, dust. Get out of here. Other things I used to be allergic to. I've kind of done some like very light research. That's the only kind of research I do. How do kids do research? We used to have to write a research paper at school. We had to go to the library and we had to like read the book parts of books and then put them in the paper as an argument for why these things are these things. And do kids do that? Like, or do they just? I heard some people use AI. Don't. That's not what AI is for. Okay, children. AI takes up a lot of energy. It's not for writing your papers. Okay, go to the library, find your books, cite them. If this is how you're supposed to do it, I feel like you can do it on the internet too. But the whole books I don't think are on the internet. Cite the things, write it down. Is it going to take a longer time? Yes. But let me tell you something. This part's for the kids. Let me tell you, life is long. Like, you have a lot of time, especially as a kid. There are so like, if I had to write a research paper and I'm using the internet, I get it. No, if I was really going to college, but like, you have the time. I don't know your life, but if it takes a long time, that's okay. That's okay. It's okay. It's all okay. Do it first. Just do it first before other things. I'm practicing on being a dad to an older kid. I feel like I've struggled to adjust as my kid gets older, because as a dad, I feel like there's a stereotype that we're not as good as moms at being parents, right? That's out there. Is that I've showed it before, right? The Tylenol box. It says recommended by mothers everywhere, as if fathers are just like, when you have a fever, I would just go swimming. No. I don't I don't think so. I think there's a stereotype that dads aren't as good as moms, and also maybe moms just instinctively have, but I don't know, I got good instincts. I just think also maybe it's hard to be a parent and to know how to take care of a kid. And moms, if they're doing it all by themselves and something goes wrong, they just keep it to themselves. And when dads have something go wrong, they're like, "Oh, this is a sitcom idea and story idea." And then there's like, "This is a whole thing." And so there's just bad press out there for dads. So anyway, whenever I get something right as a dad, I'm like, "Let's just stick with this." But then they get older and then it doesn't matter. All the things that I mastered, all the things that I did really well when he was younger are just like obsolete. They don't matter. I got to learn a whole new set of skills. Like, it used to be the big thing, you wake up and you try to go to the park and you talk him into like running around. And then eventually he's done and then you go home. Now he's into it. So we go to the park and he's just playing, and it's like, oh, now I gotta call it. Now I gotta be like, hey, we gotta go home. It used to be like anytime activity wise was just like healthy and fun, but now it's like, oh, we gotta wake up for school. We wake up for school every day. Yeah, he has zero absences. Maybe like one he has a tardy. Okay, I'll say it, and it was with me. But I'm not gonna take full responsibility. It was Spirit Week. All right. Did I talk about this already on the podcast? It was Spirit Week, which was Halloween week, which is a fun week for Spirit Week because it's like, let's just get out all the costumes, get it all out of the way, week of Halloween. So Thursday was dressed like a spooky Halloween theme. It's not a costume, it's just wear something scary. Um, if I could have worn something scary, I would try to wear like one of those Super Bowl shirts that the Bills never got, that they sent overseas when they never won the Super Bowl. That'd be, I guess, more sad than scary for Bills. I was a Bills fan. Buffalo Bills, by the way, are in Old Navy in LA. Not the team, but they have shirts for some reason. Anyway, um, so I don't have anything for Scary Day. I'm a dad, right? We just talked about this. What dad has other crafts for scary day. So Jack's getting ready for school, and he's got this little ring that we got when we were getting a pumpkin. We picked out. I don't think I even talked about our pumpkin. We went to go get a pumpkin after school one day. The week of Halloween, we did none of the activities after school, which got some feedback, some pushback from other parts of Jack's parenting. But it was Halloween week. We gotta get a pumpkin. We can't be doing all this stuff after school all the time. So how are we gonna go to sleep? So we went to the pumpkin patch. Is this a good time for Halloween details? Right as we're approaching Thanksgiving and already decorating for Christmas. So we go to the pumpkin patch. This isn't really pumpkin themed, but or Halloween themed. Pumpkins are for Thanksgiving. Stop making excuses, Michael. Don't be so hard on yourself. Wow, those last 30 seconds would not be good cut out and shown to a psychological expert. Um, so we go to this pumpkin patch, and it's what I expected. It's all I expected, and it's more, all or more. Pick. So there's a haunted house. We go in, and it's during the day. It's daylight, but there's like the haunted house that you can do, and it was good. Like Jack's at an age where he doesn't want to be scared, but not. Don't take me someplace scary. He's just like, you try to scare me, so he likes it. Um, and then he doesn't get scared. He's like very. Everything is a contest to my 6 year old son. Everything is a challenge. Everything. My parents sent him more Halloween stuff. Parents sent him I'm gonna stop calling out the lack of the anachronicity, the lack of time. Um, that makes sense. The like having this holiday show this late. I didn't plan on it. It just so my parents sent him a Halloween card, and there are all these jokes on it, right? And they're all like kind of puns jokes. And we read a couple. I read a couple to him, and he did. They weren't. But then the last one was really funny, and he's just. I think his like a 6 year old's laugh is awesome. But what also is even more than that is when he thinks it's funny and he's like trying not to laugh because it's just like I read the joke and he's just like I like what I think the joke was something like what makes an oob sound, and it was a ghost flying backwards, and he was just like, and if you're just listening, it was just like he kind of closed his mouth and like just kind of stared, and then a couple seconds go by, and he's like, I'm trying not to laugh. And now I'm tearing up. It's the allergies probably. So we uh we did that. We did the claw machine, which he failed at. Claw machine is great for failure. You know, you maybe it's the single dad in me, like I'm the only one around, but I think anytime we can fail and not get another stuffy to bring home, it's I'll go in for $5. I'll go in for $5 on that. Hey, do you want to do this thing for your kid that he wants to do, and it only costs $5, and he'll learn failure, and you won't get a stuffy? Yeah, that's that's my favorite kind. We were at an amusement park one time, and they had all these games, and Jack was probably like 5 years old at that point, and we were doing these games. We were going over these games, and you have to pay like it's like $10 there, and they were like, hey, these are kind of hard. There's some kid ones over there by the Minion rides, and I was like, no, it's okay. let's let's just because in my head I'm like, oh, so he might not get a huge stuffy to throw in his room to be there. Yeah, that's okay, and he's excited about it, and I'm not someone that wants to torture my kid. I'm not happy when he's sad, but I do feel like a good parent when he's sad, and I don't. Not that he is sad, but that I'm allowing him to experience something that could make him sad. And I'm allowing him to sort of work his way through that. And I'm not, I'm a dad, so this probably isn't good advice. But I think having an emotion and allowing the child to experience the emotion is like right up there with feeding your kid. Um, or sleep. Of course, if they sleep enough, then they're probably not going to be in an emotional state where they're sad. as much. But they might they might they might everyone can get sad. Um, but that's what it is. Because when they're that's the obsoleteness of being a parent. Because I feel like when they're babies and they're crying, I remember when Jack was born, like the first couple days, so fun, 5 stars, highly recommend. All the things that they tell you about babies when you're like in high school and they don't want you to like have a baby, it's like they're true, but it's also awesome. Like I wouldn't have traded any of those seconds being woken up by this baby for anything in the world. And secondly, you're you're in, you know, you're young, so you have all the energy. Like I know it's, but if you have help, right, and you get to take a nap at some point, I don't know, man. I think if you're trying to prevent kids from having babies, then maybe teach them about what it's like to interact with someone who also is raising that baby. 'Cause it's easy. It's nice to have help, but it's easy to make decisions by yourself. Anyway, I remember those early days. They're crying, right? And you got to like feed them or change them or put them near somebody, walk away slowly. No, like, um, that's very clear. And that it's your job to like make them stop crying. That's like your job. Like, oh, there's something going on that they can't communicate because they don't have words. So you got to figure it out. And I remember I had him in my arms one time, a couple days in, and he was crying, and I was trying to make him feel better and not cry. But as a dad, one of our friends who's a doctor was like, "Oh, they're at an age that when they're that young where they can't soothe themselves, so you have to do it." And I was like, "Oh, yeah." Like I was doing my best to soothe. And from the outside viewer, it was like, "Oh, Michael's trying to let that baby soothe himself." That's where I was as a parenting skill level. But you figure it out, right? You learn, you grow, you figure it out. Go to the classes. If you're pregnant or a dad, go to all the class because you don't know anything. Like the books, who has time to no, reading's healthy. Or the videos you can watch are really good. But the classes at our hospital, everything they taught me, like, because there was like four. There was a baby care basics class, which was like no wasted time. What's good about those classes? There was four. It's not like a school. Like you're not killing. There's nothing to kill time. This is all stuff. Like I would go. I would go again. I think I would go again because we did miss one. We missed one, and I think it affected our parenting in the beginning. Jack slept on a Batman towel his first night because we had one sheet, and we didn't predict that we would need more than one fitted sheet for his sleeping area bassinet. Anyway, um, yeah, we learned about baby care, and then there was a breastfeeding class, which I didn't, I was just able to know what was going on. I could, and provide a supportive situation. Anyway, yeah, that's, I think the soothing thing was why I was talking about that. That's why I was getting into that because I thought that was a fun thing to reflect on. But now, so then you get good at it, and all these things change, and you're like, and when they're babies, when you're doing it wrong, right? And or not wrong, but when you haven't figured it out yet, when they're not doing anything that they're supposed to be doing or want to do. But now, but now, but now, I feel like they can take care of things on their own a lot. So I might never know what I'm messing up until it's decades later. But I think them feeling sad and working their way through it and you don't have to try to make them sad. Like I'm, alone with my son a lot, so I get talked into a lot of things, And my mom will FaceTime us or whatever, and then we'll talk later. She's like, Michael, you can't say yes to everything. And I'm like, you don't. That's impossible. It's impossible to. At some point, there's gonna be a thing where I'm like, well, that's crazy. Like, and it's just kind of. I realized if you cut it off earlier, then you just save all that time. You know, like, can we do this? Yeah. Can we do that? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Can we do this? That's crazy. Um. Anyway, I feel like I'm the president. Of a country, but it's a person. Like I got to make hard decisions, and I don't want. No one wants to make hard decisions. We want to make easy decisions. Like this is very clearly the best thing to do in this situation. Very clearly, everyone benefits from this, and uh, and that's not how it always. Like today, yesterday. So he didn't fall asleep right away yesterday. The pizza took longer to cook. Whatever. He was just amped. And so today he's got a thing like a sports class or he's over involved. And they send out a thing being like, "Hey, we know it's like coming up on Thanksgiving. What is your kid going to be able to make these things?" And I said no to both practice and game because and it was like hard. It wasn't hard. You click a thing, but like it was I he's young. I feel like when they're in activities, when they're 6 at least, and maybe as I don't know what age it'll change, but when they don't want to do it, and he wants to do it, so this is different. But if they're not into it, I'm just like, yeah. Some people, I feel like some parents are like, well, you signed up to this, you committed to this. But I'm like, oh, he's 6, so he really did. Like you signed him up, and I granted, he did say, yeah. I always ask him, I'm like, do you want to do this? But like, they don't know what that means. My son still doesn't know what 5 minutes is. Like he thinks 20 minutes is long and 5 minutes is short. But also he's like 5 minutes. That's especially maybe this is just this negotiating because he's like, I want to play video game. I'm like, well, we gotta get ready, to eat dinner. So he's like, okay, just 5 minutes. And I'm like, all right, yeah. Anyway, I feel like any commitment they have at this age is totally fine if they don't want to do it or if it doesn't work out for you to be like we're out. Um, but it's gonna change. At some point we'll be we'll we'll have things that we've committed to. But right now, I don't know. Gotta learn how to do all the stuff at school. So yeah, I learned a thing 2 days ago. I was in I where was I? Where was I? That's the name of it. Where was I? That's the name of the podcast. I was in Montana this past weekend. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah, I was in Bozeman, Montana and Phillipsburg, Montana. Short weekend. Missoula, I appreciate the love. Thursday, well, we didn't sell any tickets, but if you were planning on buying them at the door and then it got canceled, well, you could have came to Phillipsburg, which isn't far away. Um, but great time in Montana. But here's the thing I learned. This is a good travel tip. So if you rent a car, just gear up for this. If you rent a car, like you don't have you fly in, it's Montana, it's a big state. What are you gonna do? Uber? You gonna Uber? You can, I'm sure. I don't know. Maybe they don't have them. But one time I landed in Indiana, or I was flying out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, and my flight was overbooked. So they were like, "Here's a lot of credit, and if you go somewhere else." So I rented a car to drive to Chicago to see my parents, and it was a pretty expensive drop off. And I looked, I was like, "Oh, I could have Ubered for cheaper," which that's kind of crazy, right? Have you ever done that? Have you ever Ubered a long distance with a stranger? Like, well, it'd be weird if it was someone you knew. Like, hey, I Uber you with you? No, like a stranger. Like one time, my rental car broke down in the middle of like New York, the state, and I was a couple hours away from my show, and the rental car company was like gonna come out, but I was like, I gotta get here, and they're like, all right, just get an Uber. So I got an Uber ride for about, I would say at least an hour and a half, with a stranger, which makes you feel like a powerful person. It's like I got a driver, but what about that poor guy? He's got to drive back by himself. All that great conversation we had on the way there. How's he gonna follow that up? So anyway, I'm in Montana, right? And and Bozeman Montana's a huge state. Bozeman's where I got my rental car, and I was like, oh, I want to return it in Missoula because Phillipsburg was closer to Missoula, and you'll get more sleep the earlier you get back to your hotel room. That's it. That's not the tip. That's just logical thinking. So we get the I get the rental car. But I was like, it might cost too much money because sometimes if you rent a car in one city and return it in another, it's really expensive. But I've found recently, and this is maybe a trend that's not going to last, but it could, is that if you rent a car in a small market like Bozeman and drop it off in another small market, everybody's fine with it. Everyone's like, that's fine. Like it costs no money to return it up there. And I think it's because those smaller airports don't have as many cars. So they're just like, that's good. Or maybe if you go from Bozeman's a little bigger to a smaller. I should have figured out this tip before I got into it and built it up. Um, but that's what I found. Maybe if you go to smaller airports from bigger airports, they're like, thank you. Because I used 2 free days on my national rental car app, and it was only 2 days, but it was only $15. It was just a tax. Usually it's like, I don't know, 50 to $100 a day to return somewhere else. So that's great. That's something I thought of, and I was like, that'll take up some time on my podcast, and it could help change the world too. You know what? I'll keep you updated on that too because I'm renting. I'm doing it next week too. Get out of here, Michael. 2 weeks in a row. This could be a real. This could be a real secret. This could be like a cutting edge new travel secret. When you're renting a car and you got to drop off at a different place from where you picked up, go small town to small town, small market to small market. Like I was flying in I'm flying into Portland, Maine, and I'm returning it in Providence, Rhode Island. And they're not charging me to return it. It's not that expensive. It's not an expensive car. But I feel like if I haven't checked it, so this isn't really super valid. But Boston, if I'd done Boston, tried to do Boston, I think it might have been more expensive to rent it in Boston or return it. I would think I would have to do a round trip. Anyway, this is a good yawn break for where the podcast is at. I'm in Portland, Maine on Friday. And if you didn't know that, that's because I haven't done any ads, but I did mention it in a post a long time ago. How do people promote stuff? It's just like on my web, it's all on my website, if you're updated and interested in views or where I'm going to be. Um but like on social media, I feel like if I post a thing and I'm like, this is where I'm going to be, like 2% are from that world and the rest of them are like, yeah, what about us? And that's fine too. But I'm in Portland, Maine on Friday at Empire Comedy Club, and they say that there's so many seats, but there's standing room too, so get there early. I don't think you'll have to worry about that, but early is fun. And then Saturday, I'm in Bennington, Vermont, at the Bennington Theater, right down the street. I think I've talked about it before on here, but there's a really good taco place where I've gotten like the best tacos in my life. Sometimes I feel like I'll watch a movie or eat a food and I have such a good experience. And I'm like, I don't know if it's because it's really good or it's because I was just really happy. So I would recommend when you watch the podcast or listen to it, just try to be really happy first. And then no matter what I say, I'll be like, wow, he's just hanging out. Um, and then Sunday I'll be in East Providence, Rhode Island. Rhode Island's a very small state. So I think if you go to normal Providence, Rhode Island, it won't be far away. But that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'm picking up my rental car in Portland, Maine, and I'm returning it in Providence, Rhode Island. And it's a very inexpensive trip. I feel like traveling right now, maybe because the flights were canceled and stuff, has gone down in price, which in hotels. Anyway, how do you pick a hotel? Normally, I look at the ratings or the price. I feel like my algorithm in my brain, I feel like algorithms are just the way your brain works, but they do it for everybody. Like, because I feel like when I'm booking a hotel, I don't just look at the price or the rating or I don't really look at stars at all because that's just amenities. You could have a hotel that isn't nice, but it's just like used to be nice, and it could have a lot of stars maybe. So I first look at um, also location. Is it expensive because it's downtown? Is it expensive because it's right by the airport? But it has to be like a big city airport. Like smaller town airports aren't that big for hotels, aren't that expensive for hotels. So like, why is it expensive? Because I feel like when it's a higher price, it's going to be a nicer hotel unless you're paying for being downtown or by the airport. So that's something to take. Because I usually have a rental car or I like to Uber with a stranger. That's the only way to do it. So I don't need to be a place. When I'm home, I kind of have to be home. But when I'm on the road, I can kind of stay as long as I'm within a normal, not too bad driving distance. Like I live in California. To get to the airport's an hour and a half. So if it takes me 45 minutes to get to a show, it's just like, well, why do I need to pay extra just to stay right by here? This is really good thinking for hotel stayers. So here's what I'll look at it and I'll be like, also I like the Bonvoy app. We're not sponsored. But it's I have really good status on there and you can get a 4 p.m. checkout and they don't even like question it. Like last week, the comedy club put me up at the hotel, which they'll do sometimes. Sometimes they get a buyout, but I feel like sometimes it's just annoying and they don't. I don't know. I don't want to be annoying, but also I don't want to waste anybody's money. But I also think it might be better to just stay wherever I want and just let them waste their money. Um, but I stayed at this hotel last week and it was okay. It was better the last time. But I got a late checkout, right? I was like, "Can I get a late checkout?" And they're like, "We can do noon." And I'm like, "That's not." In my head, that's not a late. That's checkout at a lot of brands, What's normal checkout? 8 a.m. We'll give you 4 hours. Like noon. So now I'm negotiating. I would normally want a 2 or a 4, and that's not being selfish. Okay, you might be like, why do you need a 2 or a 4? Well, because if you stay at a Marriott property and you have the status, then you can get a 4 p.m. checkout. They don't even question it. They're just it's only been questioned. I shouldn't say they don't even question it. It's been questioned like 2 times, and they've always backed it down. Why am I using such confrontational language? But like, I'm like, here's when I do it. When I'm at a Marriott, I don't say like property. What is this, Monopoly? So when I'm at a Marriott hotel and I'm checking in, I don't request it on the app. Because I don't think anybody cares. But when I check in, they'll like ask for your credit card or whatever, and then your ID, and then they'll ask for something else. I should know the details before I give this advice. So they'll ask for something else, and then that's when I lean in with the hey, would it be crazy to get like a 4 o'clock checkout? And just very casually, non entitled. I learned that I'm not entitled, but I've heard other people like be very polite. But I'm just like, oh, would it be 4 o'clock? Would that be? Because I know on the app it says it's guaranteed and that they have to. But just because something is guaranteed, like that's a Tommy Boy quote, not that one, but something. Just because it's guaranteed, they still have to cooperate, right? So I'm like, hey, can I get a 4 o'clock checkout? And they're like, usually they're just like, oh yeah, thank you, of course. They're like, they look it up. That what they've been trained to do is be like, hold on, very politely, like, hold on, not like or woo or like new. They're like, hold on, and then they type in the thing, and then they see that I'm a guy, right? I'm not famous, but I stay at hotels a lot. If you do 50 nights a year, you get platinum status, and then you get 4 o'clock, and they're like, oh yeah, they're like, thank you for your platinum status, like thank you. Um, but and then the 2 times I think it's happened where they're like, we can't do that. What I do then before they could all roll the keys or anything is just like, okay, well I'll just and this might please don't judge. This might not be like a nice. It's a corporation, so I'm privately owned locally probably, but what I say is like, okay, I'll just stay. I'm just gonna stay somewhere else. If I need the 4 o'clock, if I don't need it, who cares? But if I need it, and by need I mean like usually my shows are at night. So I'll stay at the hotel and I'll sleep as late as I can or whatever, and then I'll go get breakfast or work out or do whatever. Sometimes I go to the gym. Sometimes I do. I'm not bragging. I might go after this. I don't know. Uh, it's weird how you can feel something about something and then it just goes away if you don't think about it a lot. I read that somewhere and it works. It might have been an Instagram reel. Um, but if you're ever feeling like a negative feeling or something you just don't want to feel anymore, you can just if you stop thinking about that thing for a little bit, the feeling will go away. And and I don't know if that's good or bad because sometimes I feel like the bad feelings, and I don't think it's true, but sometimes I think that they help me make decisions because I'm like, oh, I feel bad about this. I'm never going to do this again, or I feel bad about this. I'm going to fix this. But you can also just stop thinking about it and then you won't feel bad. Like, you could be in like a horrible life situation. And if you just don't think about it, I don't know if that's right though. You got to face life. Maybe for big things, you shouldn't try to avoid thinking about it. But maybe you should, for little things, you, I don't know. I was watching, we got to get back to the thing I was talking about. Conjuring, the new Conjuring movie. It's not, but it's still in theaters if you want to see it. I've never seen any of the Conjuring movies, and someone just texted me. They don't know I'm doing the podcast. It's not live, but I forgot to put on Do Not Disturb. That's what the whole hotel story is about. I'll do the Conjuring recap later. Is that okay with everybody? So at I usually get the 4 p.m. checkout, and if they push back a little bit, I'm like, that's okay. I'll just stay somewhere else. Can you just Because I feel like they could be like, well, it's too late to cancel this hotel. But on my end, I'm like, I get a 4 o'clock guarantee. So if you're gonna hold me to that, I have to stay here tonight, then you got to give me that 4 o'clock guarantee, you know. And usually I'm very nice. I'll let you know if I leave early. But I want the 4 o'clock because sometimes I get ready for my show and then I go to the show and then I drive to the next city. So if I don't have the 4 o'clock guarantee, then I'm just out of my hotel at like 12 or 1 or 2 or 3. And what do I do then? Go to like a restaurant and get work done or a library? There's a lot of options actually. It's hard to like work out though and then be sweaty at your show. Not why am I talking about? I don't go to anyway. So so I say I'll just stay somewhere and then they're like and then they call in a manager usually or somebody else who has probably said like, hey, no late checkouts. And you know what it is, and this is negative of me. If I just didn't think about it, I wouldn't feel bad about it. But like if that's usually because to have a 4 o'clock checkout, they have to have someone stay later. Or just let you, just not clean the room till the next day. And that costs money. But I don't put it in the thing if I don't get it in. That's the thing. If you're not, if you're gonna use a thing, then I get it. Like you said it, right? That's being entitled. Like it happened recently, right? And I never know who's right necessarily, but I have a contract with a comedy club, and the thing says that I get a percentage of an off night, right? A percentage of the gross. And then when they calculate the gross, what it is, they don't include the fees on the website. Like people paid $37, but they put in $30. And I get that those are fees, but it says gross after credit card fees and another fees. And so now there's more fees. Why? Why is it crazy for me to bring that up? I'm just going to stop thinking about it. But so at the hotel that I stayed at on Friday, I was not a member, and so I asked for a late checkout, and they said, "Okay, noon." That's not late. Like, what world are you staying in? We're new. Oh, so I was like, "How about 1?" And they're like, "Okay." And it was also a motel. It was like a chic motel. Like it was. I mean, I thought it was nice. Um, and they were nice there. The people were nice, and my room was okay. I woke up though, because my bed. I don't know, maybe there's something else going on. But I woke up early. I was kind of starting to wake up, and it's a motel, so there you have a parking spot right in front of your room. And here's my trick: even if you're in the middle of nowhere, Montana, I don't want anybody knowing that I'm staying in that room. So like, your spot is 15. I'm like, no, it's not. I'm parking at 25 because if someone's coming to murder me, they're going to have to try all the other rooms first. Right? Is that, there wasn't even like a latch on the door. Like, it locked, but there wasn't like a latch. Am I worrying too much? I don't. That's the thing about worry. It's like, or concern or thinking about. It's like, I feel like this is valid, but the fact that it exists means that no one else thought that it was valid. Like, you check into a hotel and they're like, you're gonna park here because that's your room. So you want everyone driving by this hotel to know exactly which rooms have people in them? Listen, I know the odds of someone driving by your hotel and being like, I'm going to kill someone tonight are very slim. Or, do something horrible to somebody, a trauma, a tragedy. But if it did happen, why would I want to show the world that I'm staying here? So I parked in a different parking lot, like over by the entrance of the hotel, not in anyone's hotel room. So, and I kind of knew what would happen. Like, I asked for the late checkout, but they didn't see a car in front of that. And I was like, well, maybe they'll think I just Ubered, but it's Montana. That's a long Uber. So I figured they would just be like, I don't know. I figured they would think I had checked out already. So at like 9 in the morning, I get a banging on my door, and they're like, and then again, two bangings, not just a one, a twoer. And I think it's because they don't have latches. So they have to really make sure someone's not in there. Because a normal hotel, you can latch so it won't open if someone's in there. But they don't have that. So I think the key might unlock everything. I could be wrong. And then I get up and I'm in my pajamas. I travel with pajamas, and I'm like, I got a late checkout, and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. That doesn't fix it. Now I'm awake, you know? Anyway, that's what I was saying. And I still took the one checkout though. I just tried to go back to sleep. It was all fine. I slept a lot the next night. Anyway, 4 o'clock checkout's great. Conjuring. I forget how that was related to anything I was talking about, but I saw that in the movie theater, and I'd never seen any of the other ones, and it was enjoyable. I really liked it. I liked because I it sounded like it was gonna be like a scary blood bloodthirsty, scary movie, but it was very a lot of build up and a lot of uh, like just good story aspects, connecting to things in other movies, I think, that I didn't know anything about. And the actors really liked. There's a lot of funny. I laugh at horror movies, and I don't know if it's because I'm so scared that I'm like, ha 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 ha. Ha. But I think it's just, I don't know. I think it's being a comedian that makes me laugh at people um, expressing any emotion. Because I know on stage, the goal is to make people laugh, right? And sometimes in doing that, you get a reaction that's not laughter, and because they feel something else, like not usually fear. Sometimes they feel bad for you, or sometimes they feel something else, and so they don't laugh. And so I think that's turned me into an audience member that whenever I feel an emotion, I'm like, I'm gonna go with laughter because that's what I would want in this situation. If I was in this horror movie and I was being chased by a demon, I would want someone being like, "Oh, that's so great." I mean, I also was scared and screamed and stuff, but anyway, yeah. Last week we talked a little bit about texting etiquette. I was at a place where, and I'll just wrap this up real quick, but just in case people are wondering, I was at a place where someone had said they would text me later, and I hadn't heard anything, but we had made plans to get food later in the week, and I didn't know whether I should reach out about the plans or just assume that they would text because they said they would text. And yeah, I never want to text somebody if they're trying to like give me a signal that they're whatever they just said they would. Because some people say stuff, I say stuff and it doesn't work out, and they don't have to like. But anyways, I did send another text, and then we did get food. So, but it did feel a little bit contrived. I felt like, oh, maybe this wasn't meant to be. But I could probably just stop thinking about it too. It's not happy Thanksgiving. I'm sure we'll do one. I don't know if we'll do one next Monday. I think so. Check back. Because Monday is the Monday before Thanksgiving. And I'm going to be coming in from Providence, Rhode Island after getting a great deal on a rental car. And I'll be I'll be back Monday and then home for Thanksgiving. And that's have a great I shouldn't say all that now cuz then what am I going to say next week? These are good points. I I should try to find something else to talk about. But next week we got a lot of fun stuff. Maine, Rhode Island, Vermont. Vermont's closer to like the east part of Vermont though. So if you're not near there, it might not be as fun. Um and then also the week after that, Thanksgiving is just Thanksgiving. But the week after that I'm in Minneapolis and then Winnipeg and then Madison, Wisconsin and Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Let's see. We got any other thoughts? And the thoughts here. Wait, my son bites his shirt. Does anybody have that? Why do kids he did it when he was younger and I was like, "Oh, that's just cuz he's younger." But he's brought it back and sometimes I'm like, "Oh, it's cuz he's hungry," which sounds crazy because he can't eat a shirt. But I think kids are always kind of hungry. They can always do snacks. Um, and then sometimes he'll just really bite it. Really, and when I was a kid, I ate my coat a little bit. I guess I was that age. I would bite my coat. My dad, when I was a kid, when my dad would get angry, he would bite his shirt, which is the scariest thing. I don't think it's logical. I don't think he's doing it to scare us. I just think it's his reaction when we were little kids to like not screaming. So he put his shirt in his mouth. But really, if to a child, I feel like it's like, oh, he's biting that so he doesn't attack me. Like if I ever meet a wild animal in the wild or in the city, and they were like growling at me, that's like, you know, this is. Anyways, my parents are great people. Yeah. So why do kids eat stuff that are not food? He'll be okay, right? That's not something I did. This is my last time wearing my reverse Barney outfit. I got a purple shirt on. This shirt looks like it was bit, but it was not. Quick on that. Quick thing on that. My dryer would get clothes caught in it, and I kind of just let it go because that's my main way of handling things. It's kind of just if you don't think about it, you don't feel it. But then my clothes started. This one ripped right here, and then I called my mom. And usually I'll call my mom with a thing, and then I'll just be like, well, this is just to really call her and say hi, but it also is nice to have my mom do something that's like mom like, right? But I didn't expect her to know because she doesn't have that dryer. But she's like, there might be lint stuck in there. You should try to clean off that lint. So I got a stick or something, not like a wooden stick, but something. I stuck it down there and I got all the lint out, and now clothes don't get caught in there anymore. So take that, lint. All right. Thanks, everybody. I will see you. If I don't see you next week, happy Thanksgiving. But I will check back because I think we'll do it. All right. Thank you.